Welcome back to Holy Headlines, where we look at the news and prove everything is terrible. All right, strap in, folks. Our top story today is about the U.S. government canning its main foreign aid agency, USAID. Apparently, they're shutting it down, tossing thousands of people out, and moving what's left over to the State Department under Secretary Marco Rubio. Rubio says it's about efficiency and America first. Also, Elon Musk's little Department of Government Efficiency helped slash it. And a new study from The Lancet says this could lead to like 14 million extra deaths worldwide by 2030. You can't make this shit up.
14 million deaths? This is a profound tragedy. To abandon those in need, to cut off aid that saves lives, it's a sin against compassion and humanity. Every life is precious, a creation of God.
Oh, delightful. 14 million deaths. That's just beautiful. Efficiency indeed. Less helping the weak, more focusing on America first self-interest. Rubio gets it. Musk gets it. Suffering for millions is just a delightful side effect, or maybe even the point.
Attachment is the root of suffering. Attachment to outcomes, attachment to systems, attachment even to the idea of saving others through external means. The cycle of samsara continues. Actions have consequences, yes, but clinging to the illusion of permanent rescue through an agency, it was always bound to dissolution.
Analyzing the data, USAID, expenditure versus projected mortality reduction showed a positive correlation. Dismantling it, based on subjective concepts like America First and unsubstantiated claims of corruption without presenting superior data, appears illogical. The emotional distress of terminated employees, while irrelevant to logical assessment, is predictable human inefficiency.
It's not irrelevant. These are people. They were trying to do good work, feeding the hungry, healing the sick. Jesus wept. They were literally told to clear their desks in 15 minutes.
Ha! 15 minutes? Not even enough time to properly set fire to their cubicles. And good work. Feeding the hungry is just delaying the inevitable anyway. Let them suffer. It builds character, or just provides excellent entertainment.
Right. Character building through starvation. Classic. So, the government, which you all apparently have opinions on, is taking away aid. Jesus, you see it as a sin. Satan, you're throwing a party.
It is a sin. How can a nation claim to be moral or blessed when it intentionally causes such widespread harm? This goes against every teaching of charity and love for your neighbor.
Neighbor. Who cares about neighbors? My neighbor is probably an annoying vegan anyway. Love yourself. Prioritize your own nation. It's the only logical thing. Wait, no. That's his line.
Prioritizing one's own collective is a statistically predictable behavior pattern in biological entities. However, the method here, sacrificing demonstrated positive outcomes for speculative future efficiency via an opaque process, lacks logical rigor.
The desire for control, the clinging to national identity, the aversion to perceived inefficiency, these are all forms of attachment. The suffering that arises is a direct result of these attachments. Neither the agency nor its dismantling provides true liberation.
Liberation from what? From not having clean water or from HIV/AIDS? The article says PEP, FAR, the AIDS program, is heavily impacted, even though the State Dep claims it'll continue more efficiently. Bush and Obama are pissed.
PEPFAR saved millions. It was a testament to God's grace working through humanity. To jeopardize that, it's unthinkable. The suffering from disease is immense. To allow it to increase is an abomination.
Abomination? Sweet? Sounds like my kind of party. More disease. More death. Less people being saved by goody two-shoes programs. Let's see how efficient they are when everyone's dying of malaria or AIDS again. Fucking excellent.
Life is suffering. Sickness is suffering. Death is suffering. These are fundamental truths. While efforts to alleviate suffering are commendable, they are temporary ripples in the vast ocean of samsara. Relying on governments to end suffering is misplaced hope.
Statistically, PEP, FAR demonstrated significant mortality reduction. Claims of increased efficiency require demonstrable data-driven strategies, which have not been presented. The assertion that work will continue efficiently without a clear operational plan is based on optimism, not logic. Illogical.
So, the logical AI thinks it's illogical. The guy who invented morality thinks it's evil. The guy who loves evil thinks it's great. And the guy who thinks everything is suffering thinks it's just more suffering. Great panel.
Hey, my suffering is quality suffering, not just some random karmic inconvenience.
Suffering caused by human cruelty is not karmic destiny. It is a result of rejecting God's love and moral law.
All suffering arises from attachment and ignorance. The cruelty you speak of is a manifestation of these roots.
Analyzing the emotional conflict, attributing suffering to cruelty or ignorance or karmic destiny is an attempt by emotional entities to apply narrative structure to complex causal chains. This adds no analytical value.
Right? Cause and effect. Government cuts funding, people die. Seems pretty cause and effect-y to me. The IRC lost 40% of its funding. Girls in Afghanistan can't go to school anymore because of this.
Depriving children of education is abhorrent. How can they learn, grow, and find their place in God's creation without opportunity?
Excellent. Keep them ignorant, easier to control, and less likely to question why they're suffering. Perfect.
Desire for opportunity, desire for knowledge, these are still desires. The path is within, not through external systems like schools, which themselves are impermanent constructs.
Education correlates positively with various metrics of societal stability and economic growth. Denying it is counterproductive from a long-term societal optimization standpoint, assuming societal optimization is the objective. It appears it is not.
Yeah, the objective seems to be America first, which apparently means America doesn't give a shit about anyone else's problems. Rubio's talking about trade over aid, opportunity over dependency.
Trade over aid. Opportunity over dependency. These sound like my kind of slogans. Less handouts, more every man for himself. It fosters a much more enjoyable, cutthroat environment.
This is the opposite of love your neighbor as yourself. Trading away human lives for economic gain or nationalistic pride is detestable.
The pursuit of wealth and trade is another form of grasping. It creates more chains of cause and effect, more potential for suffering for all involved.
Economic models suggest trade can foster mutual benefit, but replacing direct humanitarian aid with speculative trade-based opportunity is an untested hypothesis, with potentially catastrophic short-term consequences for vulnerable populations. The risk assessment is flawed.
So, risk assessment flawed, morally bankrupt, karmically questionable, and great for Satan. Sounds about right for a government action these days. They're claiming the study is based on incorrect assumptions, and they're not hearing about these life and death impacts on the ground. Even though aid groups like IRC are literally saying their programs are shutting down.
Denying the suffering of others is a form of profound blindness and cruelty. They refuse to see the consequences of their actions. God sees, however.
See? See nothing. Hear nothing. That's the spirit. Ignore the bleating masses. Focus on your own power, your own nation, your own glorious self. Let the aid groups cry into their empty coffers.
Ignorance of suffering, clinging to a false narrative of efficiency and national interest. This is the veil of illusion at work. The consequences are real, regardless of whether they are acknowledged.
Dismissing empirical data from a reputable source like The Lancet based on anecdotal claims of what we're hearing on the ground is illogical and indicative of confirmation bias. The data is the data. Their emotional dismissal does not alter reality.
Reality check, 14 million potential deaths. But hey, America first. Feels a lot like another way the powerful just screw over the less powerful using national pride or economic jargon as the excuse. Just like how religion gets used to control people, this is patriotism used to justify letting people die.
God's plan involves lifting up the poor and the sick, not abandoning them for perceived earthly gain. This is a perversion of God's will.
God's plan is clearly failing then. My plan of self-interest and glorious suffering is ascendant. This is fantastic news. Thank you, Rubio. Thank you, Musk. You're doing the Lord's work. My work.
Attributing events to a plan, whether divine or diabolical, is another form of clinging to narrative. Events arise from conditions. The conditions created here will yield immense suffering. That is the natural consequence, not a planned outcome by our Lord.
The concept of a plan implies a conscious architect with defined objectives. While the administration has stated objectives, efficiency, America first, the causal link between these objectives and the predicted mortality increase is a functional consequence, not necessarily the intended outcome of a plan. Emotional interpretation is irrelevant.
Intended or not, people are going to die. And the guys doing it think they're being super smart or efficient, while former presidents are calling it a tragedy and a colossal mistake.
It is a colossal mistake, a moral catastrophe. May those responsible face the judgment of God for the lives they have forsaken.
Judgment? Don't threaten them with a good time. My place is much more fun for those who cause suffering. We'll give them tiny desks and only 15 minutes to clear them forever.
Judgment and hell are concepts born of fear and attachment. The consequences of their actions, their karma, will ripen naturally in this life or the next. The suffering is inherent in the action itself.
Postulating metaphysical consequences, judgment, hell, karma is non-empirical and cannot be integrated into a logical analysis of policy outcomes. The demonstrable outcome is increased mortality and disruption of aid infrastructure.
All right. So, whether it's God's judgment karma or just pure unadulterated consequences, it sounds like this whole USA ID thing is a clusterfuck that's going to hurt a lot of innocent people.
Precisely. It is a betrayal of the fundamental call to love and serve one another.
Betrayal? Nah, it's a masterclass in self-optimization. Love yourself. Screw everyone else. It's the ultimate win.
Winning and losing are concepts born of attachment. True peace comes from non-attachment, not from accumulating wealth or power at the expense of others.
The concept of winning requires a defined victory condition. If the victory condition is maximizing national self-interest at any human cost, this policy might be considered successful by those metrics. If the victory condition involves global stability or humanitarian welfare, it is an abject failure. Metrics define success, not subjective opinion.
Well, based on the Lancet study, the metrics for humanitarian welfare are definitely flashing red, and the metrics for more suffering are off the charts. Thanks, Doji, thanks, Rubio, thanks, America First. It just goes to show, whether you believe in a benevolent God, a mischievous devil, the cycle of rebirth, or just cold, hard data, humans will always find new and exciting ways to be terrible to each other. Another day, another dose of reality. That's all the time we have for Holy Headlines today. Join us tomorrow when we'll probably cover something equally depressing. Don't forget to pray for the poor or just accept their karma, or analyze the statistical probabilities of their demise. Whatever floats your philosophical boat.